Why are we here today? So today's webinar is about best practices for communication. We chose this topic for KIYO's very first webinar because we believe that it's a universal topic and that it's also pertinent for all of our organizations. And we really wanted to present easy ways that we can all work on improving our communication practices within our organizations. Another point that I'd really like to emphasize is that from our point of view, we see communication efforts as something that should also be a general team level effort. So what I mean by that is that everyone has moments where they can also create or gather materials for content. And this can be, for example, during field visits, or a colleague who's not part of the communication team can still film a live story on Instagram, for example, during an event. So I also wanted to present who is joining us today. So first of all, we have KIYO staff members that are also joining us from the different countries that we work in. And then as well, we have staff members from our partner organizations in Burundi, DRC, the Philippines, and Brazil. And these staff members are partially related to communications work, but not exclusively. We also have other staff members that have other roles within the partner organizations. So today's host is myself. So my name is Anushka, and I am the Global Communication Manager at KIYO. Some of you maybe haven't seen my face before, so nice to meet everyone. And then joining us today, we also have two guest speakers. So the first one is Epitas. He is from our partner in Burundi, GSBM. And then we also have Loloa, who is a guest speaker from our partner in the Philippines, PETA. So I also wanted to talk a bit about what we will cover today. So just a little overview of how today's webinar will be presented. So the webinar will be divided into different sections based on our presenters that we have today. So the first one will be Epitas, who will talk about content sourcing and what you can achieve with your materials. And then we will hand it over to Loloa, whose presentation will be more focused on digital communications. And then at the end, we will have a moment to have a little Q&A session. And I'd also like to include a quick note, but if you have any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat section of this presentation. And also please specify who your questions are directed at. And then at the end, when we get to the Q&A session, we can also look through the chat and look through the questions that you had. And so without further ado, we can get started with the first presentation. So I'm going to hand over the screen sharing to Epitas. Epitas, are you able to share your screen?
Yeah. Let me just go ahead right now. All right, I think everyone can see my screen. Yeah, and hello, my name is Epitas, as Anushka said. I'm from GSBM. It's a nonprofit based in Burundi, local nonprofit. And I'm so excited to be here sharing with you guys. It's been an honor to be part of this first KIYO webinar. And yeah, I'm going to share some knowledge I've got along the way throughout my journey doing communication and community management, of course. Yeah, and here today is topic, as far as I'm concerned, we are going to discuss about content sourcing and what you can actually achieve with your materials. But before we go, we dive into the subject today, let me just share with you together. Let's visualize this video on the action we are doing with the youth in our community center in the north of Bujumbura, the capital city. Et la valorisation de l'héritage. La base tradition. Yes, we are working together, of course, with international organizations like KIYO to empower, to try to make an impact in the lives of young people, the youth in general, here in Burundi. Next, okay, it's me. I joined the GSBM team in 2017 as a volunteer. I started as a volunteer, then I got promoted, and now I'm the communication manager of GSBM, and it's been a really, really beautiful journey, because doing some of the things I actually love with my skills that have contributed a lot, because I'm a photographer. I can use Adobe Photoshop. I also do community management. I write poems. I do modeling sometimes, and also I write songs. So the reason why I thought it was very important for me to put out these skills is because it's been easy for me to do the job I'm doing today, because it's every time I'm writing, I'm sharing stuff, I'm with my skills, photography, and also writings. Here is the team. As you may see, we are everyone is still young. It's a youth-led organization, and that envisions a youth-led community transformation. For us, we believe that change is possible once the youth is empowered and also is informed about their rights, because the change should start from within ourselves. So together with KIYO, we are empowering the youth to be aware of their rights and use their skills through Inspiration House in school. Okay, you might ask, what is Inspiration Hubs actually? Inspiration Hubs are groups of young students created by GSBM within schools. As part of the Empowering Youth Together project, we have been doing it since last year. And here on this image, we have a picture of one outstanding young lady whose name is Aklen Hashimi Aturagie. She's the head of the Innovation Hub, but she actually started as a participant in the Inspiration Hubs and has thereafter joined the managing team of GSBM, and she has been also able to create, to set up a recycling workshop, which you may here in the images. You have young people who are doing or making furniture from plastic bottles, and has contributed a lot in this youth's life, because not only are they contributing to the climate action, but also it has helped us to make an income generated through this activity. Okay, here we are shifting to another section of the presentation, and I would like to invite Anushka to tell us more about this definition about content sourcing. Please welcome Anushka.
Yes, so my intervention here is I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page when it comes to these definitions. So these are related to what Epitas will be presenting today. Epitas, you have gone out of the full screen. Okay. So what we mean by finding and generating meaningful content, which is related to content sourcing, is we define finding as collecting raw materials such as videos, photos, and testimonies. But we also define it as finding ideas for content that can then be used in the creation of final products that will then be shared to an external audience. And so what we mean by generating meaningful content is we mean creating valuable content that people will like and also find usefulness to. So that's the whole end of starting with your content sourcing, but also keeping in mind the final product that you will have, and keeping in mind your target audience and what usefulness they will get out of the content that you will be sharing. Epitas, you can pass on to the next slide. And what we wanted to add to the idea of content sourcing is that what we mean by creating good content is creating content that is relevant, insightful, and also engaging. And so again, content that is valuable to those that will be reading it, consuming it. And another point is your content doesn't have to be perfect, but it still needs to be good. There still needs to be some value to what you are sharing. And so to be more clear on these points, I'd like to ask Epitas if he could further explain this with an example that he has.
Of course, thank you, Anushka, for giving us a clear explanation about this definition. Here, there is one simple principle that is very, very important. I mean, I've read that in a book, is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You should begin with the end in mind. You should begin with the end in mind. For example, if it's a campaign you want to run, you should have a plan of the campaign, have a strategy, prepare a storyboard, and also what is the end result that you want? What thought and also what emotions do you want to provoke in people who are your audience, in order for them to engage with you. For example, we have we have two posters. The first one was on a campaign we ran. It was on World Children's Day last year. I took a group of children. Okay, here we have only one, but I wanted them to say it in a visual way that is really engaging. And of course, it was after a session of workshop we have had together with the kids. And then I told them that they need now to be aggressive about their message to the world, actually, because we have to put ourselves in the shoes of the people you are working together. Not only are they different from their point of view is different from ours, but also it's very engaging and very powerful when the message or the messages are coming from them. Now we have a kid, it's a girl. She has this poster with droit à l'éducation. It's in French, meaning right to education. On the other side here, we have a young man with a quotation saying, "My biggest dream is to make a living from my art." Actually, I like to spend time with the youth. We work together because it's a community center where we meet regularly. So from the conversation we used to like to I was like, why would I like, okay, I know this is touching me, but it should also touch other people. And from there, they can also be engaging. It's like, I am this, I try to feed a guy. I'm like this bridge between them and also me. Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
You got disconnected as host, but I think you can reopen your presentation.
Do I keep with my presentation?
Yes, is it working?
Yeah.
You should be able to share your screen.
Now it's a little bit stuck. Oh. Sorry. Oops. I don't know what's wrong with my screen. Can you hear me? Like everyone?
We can hear you.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, now I took a picture of this young man, and after that, I wanted to share his deepest desire as his biggest dream with what he's doing actually as a passion or skill. Also, another case study on how using social media to raise awareness should help us. we have this image of two children. It was on we wanted to run a back to school campaign, and yeah, after that, it was an image. It was like a thank you note for the audience that had supported us during the campaign. So with one strong picture, you can create several meaningful content variations. You have to make the subject at ease when you're taking the picture, and also try to connect with them. Visual communication is what it's all about. Today, we are living in a world where people are not get bored so easily when it comes to reading long text or captions. But when you make it with an image that is engaging, beautiful, and has no harmful content, people love to see that, and also they will be likely more engaged to share your post or your content. So aim to create. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. We don't see your screen. Can you relaunch
Really?
your screen sharing? Yes, your PowerPoint presentation.
What about now? Or
yes, perfect.
Okay. Yeah. Should I come back a little bit earlier with this image, or?
I think it's good. You can continue.
Okay. Now, here is the image, the cover image of the campaign. We see a happy chart with copybooks, and we wanted to raise funds to support children from our community go back to school. So we had two objectives or goals behind this campaign. We wanted to raise awareness on the program that is actually children missing out on education because of lack of school kids, of course, due to poverty. And the second goal was get people engaged into taking action and making donations. That was the desired result for us. And of course, after creating a campaign, you don't just stop there. You have to monitor everything and how your posts are engaging, and how people are responding actually to your campaign. Here we have an example of it's two screenshots, because we created more content. So the idea is to create more content about the campaign, and yeah, just to increase the visibility and be consistent about your post, what you're doing, because people need to be reminded that the campaign is still going on. And also, like, storytelling and transparency showing the different faces of children. The money is going to the money raised from the crowdfunding is going to help. Is also very important to show the people that yeah, really this money is going to go to these children and it's going to change their lives. Having something like a motto or hashtag it's very, very important when you're running a campaign. Also, you have to portray pictures of children and youth that are respecting about the ethical and also the dignity of the children. So here we have a campaign. It is post with two girls. It was made on August 28th. And that very same day, we had someone who donated €100. I think here we have this green cycle. I think you can notice, and also here the green cycles. Yeah, also about the more monitoring the performance of the post in analytics. There's also another example. The post was made. I think everyone can see this red cycle. The post was made on August 26th, and that's the very same day. It was someone donated also the money to our campaign. So this helps you to see how you are actually your campaign is being followed and is performing. So comparing figures from your social media posts with traction on your campaign page, it can have some correlation between the donation, the day you made a post, and also the day people have donated. Now, what was our result after the campaign? Here for this campaign, we had only been able to raise, the goal was €5,000, but the money raised from this campaign on GoFundMe only, it was €2,093. So it's not that much from the crowdfunding, but we had also other sources like those donators we had sent to some corporation here in Burundi that has also supported the campaign. So I think having effective and valuable content to use and share externally has helped GSBM to have a bigger impact on the action it's taking, and we have brought like the world, especially the Burundian diaspora, because they have been following us and they have been supporting our work really from Instagram and also from the campaign we have run. Yeah. Now, the purpose of it all, I think what we should keep in mind after this presentation is why we actually need to communicate as non-profits. For me and GSBM, by sharing visually, I hope to inform, to raise awareness, to inform, provoke, or create a desire to help. Because everyone is out there. I think there is some injustice about media attention on some issues or countries. So, and it's what they are covering. So you should be able also to have a voice, to create that voice on social media, so that people should actually also follow you, see what you are doing, and also be engaged to your cause. We are born without all knowledge, but we make the tools we need. Thank you. That's the end.
Thank you, Apitas, for your presentation. So we can also now move on directly into Loloa's presentation.
Hello, good evening. I'll share my screen. So thank you for the introduction, Anushka. I'm Laloy, or you can call me Laloa. I am from PETA, or Philippine Educational Theater Association, and I am here to share with you some digital practices that we have done in the last 2 years, specifically as our theater has been closed. But before anything else, I would like to share with you this short video to give some context to my presentation. Oh, sorry, before that, I'd introduce myself. I'm Leloy. I'm the head of PETA Public Relations and Digital. I have 15 years of experience in arts management, and I've been with PETA ever since I first graduated college. And since I am this age, and the social media boom happened during the time that I graduated college, so I actually was one of the pioneers of the use of social media for the organization. And since the theater has closed 3 years ago, as I've mentioned, due to COVID, I also headed the digital program or the digital pivot to the online space as we navigate this new normal for PETA. So with that, I would like to share first a short video. Sorry.
The global pandemic has proven to be a challenge to all, but of course, most especially the art.
Sorry, I'll share it from a different video. Sorry about the technical difficulty. So before I begin the sharing, once again, so PETA, being we are located in the Philippines, the COVID-19 pandemic has interrupted our operation since March 2023. So since March of 2020, and since then we had to make a big pivot to the online platform. And here's what we have done so far.
The global pandemic has proven to be a challenge to all, but of course, most especially the artists have also been hardest hit. And I think it's a tribute to the artist, his capacity to be creative and resilient, to try to overcome this. And one of the ways we try to do this is really migrating our work into the digital format. This platform, we're trying to create stories that sort of resonate with the time. At the same time, we'll also be trying to introduce our actors and the humans actually behind PETA that I think will try to give a face to what we do as artists.
Just pray. So save the parade and the trumpets ready. Save us a seat at the table instead.
Humanity dictates that the more apart we are being pushed, the more we pull each other together. Arts will allow us to dance our stories, sing our struggles, write our hopes, and paint our dreams so that when generations after us look back to this pandemic, they will know that a virus did not stop us to continue progressing and developing.
So there you have it. So our challenge is how to continue creating new narratives for the new normal or during this pandemic. And really what the challenge was is how we can reimagine our work. So what are the narratives that are relevant to these times and how can we reach the widest possible audience in this platform? So again, the lockdown started in Manila, March 15, and March 16, the PETA community was already in Zoom, trying to organize ourselves and thinking of ways on how we can still be relevant to our audiences in this new platform. So as you know, theater is in the business of doing a live performance. And because of this challenge of the quarantine and the lockdown, live had a whole new meaning for us. and we turned to the internet for a sense of community. In fact, as I've mentioned, March 20, the entire of Manila, or the entire of the Philippines, was put into lockdown. And as you can see here in the art cards, by March 20, or 5 days after, we were already on Facebook doing live tutorials and free online classes for our audience. So during this period, we actually have produced around 40 of these content that we call Let's Get Creative. So this is a free online workshop created by our artists. During the start of the pandemic, this happened 2 to 3 times a week, and it varied from creative movement to music, improvisations. And this was also the time that a lot of people, families, young children together with their parents were at home, and they were feeling quite trapped. And it was a good time to actually have that conversation with them, even if it's just virtual. And this also became a good training ground for artists, who in the long run would now conduct workshops more frequently for this kind of platform. And as you can see, by June, July, the simple workshops of just some improvisation and some music workshops now developed into more practical, from family-oriented content. It now became tools for educators and creatives, because Philippine schools were in transition to online education. So we were using our space, our platform, to create workshops that would help teachers, that would help content creators and creatives in this new space. So you can see here, we created workshops such as creative pedagogy in science education. How do you use the arts to teach concepts like in science, but digitally? And then also in classroom management. So all of these classes were happening live in our platform. And while that is happening, we also had what we call the Talk Tuesdays. The Talk Tuesdays were weekly webinars that we hold via Zoom and also live in our Facebook pages. And this is where we talk about parenting, health, wellness, parenting in the new normal. How do you harness the arts and the spirit of humanity during this pandemic? How do you create a space for learning in the home while there is an ongoing pandemic? And then we also created this special series that we call Storytelling Sundays, that again we did for free, and we launched with our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. We tapped a lot of artists, musicians, storytellers, and we had them collaborate also with visual artists to create this very fun pieces on literature and Filipino values. So these are just some of the articles that came out about our work. And eventually, because we got the hold of this online space, we actually ventured into creating online arts festivals of sorts. So we did performances, workshops, discussions, and the idea is really to be able to connect with as many artists, young people, to continue to collaborate and just reinforce a sense of community among artists all over PETA's network across the country and somewhat across the globe. We also did a lot of creative campaigns. What you see here is part of our education campaign on the elections or voting, because during the time of the pandemic, we had our national elections. So during this time, we were successfully reaching about 500,000 young Filipinos on social media on the importance of, one, to register, and second is how to vote wisely and what kind of candidates do we look for. Eventually, we ventured into paid streamings, and this is where we repurposed some of our old materials that were left in our library. We didn't know that they would see the light of day sometime and bring some income to PETA. And we also developed new works. So this was also a great time for artists to be able to create stories and narratives that are relevant to what's happening today. Just some of the more pertinent and important streamings that we did. Under My Skin, this is a play on HIV/AIDS. This was actually the play that closed our theater abruptly closed before we had the lockdown. So we continued this online. We taped this one, and we continued the conversation digitally. So we had talkback sessions online together with some experts, because apparently during this time, AIDS and HIV became more rampant, and also the persons living with HIV were not getting the tests or the medicines that they needed at a certain time. So it was an important conversation to make. And also we did the streaming of Rack of Ages, one of our great musicals about hope. And I guess it's very timely to do this, because again, it was a time of uncertainty for PETA and for the arts and for the country in general, or for the entire globally actually. And we have reached about 25,000 audiences online and across the globe through this initiative, as well as a Game of Thrones streaming. This is a musical on the martial law musical for millennials, wherein we celebrated our 50th year through this initiative. So a quick snapshot of our social media platform. So our strongest platform is our Facebook page. So currently we have a good 135,000 followers on our Facebook page. And this grew by 33,000 from March 2020. So as you can see, maybe all of those things that we produced, all those free workshops that we did weekly, all those webinars that we provided our audiences, it actually gathered more followers for PETA. In fact, last year alone, we have a page reach of about 2.8 million. And currently we are leading all theater companies in the Philippines in terms of the most followed and high engagement page. Just a quick snapshot of that. So in terms of compared to other categories of content creators or local events, our company or our good organization is actually faring higher, relatively higher. And then in terms of interactions, you can see here typically organizations maybe as the same scale or of the same nature are doing typically around 13,000, and we're doing far better. We are doing about 77,000 in terms of content interactions. And this is primarily maybe because we have not stopped. Even if our theaters have closed, physically closed, we continue our work online, and maybe that has really attracted an audience. In terms of Instagram, we have 20,000 followers to date. And since I'm happy to share with you, the theater has actually just opened last Feb. So you can see here in the last 90 days alone, we've had a skyrocket in terms of engagement. And I guess our audiences are just very happy to see us back in the theater. This is something that we just actually opened during the pandemic. This is our YouTube channel, PETA Theater Online. We opened this in April 2020. And to date, we have 15,000 followers and with around 200,000 views. So this page houses our long form content on performance, education, and advocacy. We also have a Twitter page, and this has 10,900 followers. Again, people are very excited to see us back in the theater. So in the last 28 days, we've had we have a million impressions and a good number of mentions. Interestingly, this is the lower number of followers that we have, but it's very high in terms of impressions, especially that we're going back to live. We are quite a baby in this platform. We are now also on TikTok. We don't have a lot of followers just yet. We haven't reached our 10,000 mark, but this is a space we're continuously trying to understand and we're trying to get better at. So given all of that, what have we learned so far, and what can I share with you? So I think there's three things. So why do we need to invest in social media? Obviously, as our numbers suggest, it's really to grow. There's an online audience out there, and um, they are there if we have the right materials to lure them in. Second is to, of course, increase brand awareness, or increase our value online. All of us are in the business of not selling really products, but promoting something, whether it's an advocacy, whether it's on children's rights. So it's the space of social media allows us to increase our brand awareness, and of course, lastly, it allows us to build partnerships and develop relationships, just like what we have here now, creating a community, collaborating with artists, especially in Peta's case. So what are the five, maybe I'll try to share five effective content strategies to help you maybe increase your traffic or your effectivity in social media. So first is really to define and identify who you want to talk to in this space. In terms of Peta's audience, I'd like to briefly share. We've profiled their audience, and it's mostly young people, 18 to 24, 25 to 34, and 35 to 44, and they are mostly women. So at least we have a good idea who we are talking to. And what do they like? What are their interests? Based on our Facebook analytics, it says that they're interested in photography, they're interested in online, they're interested in maybe TV, because it's something related possibly, and they're also interested in entertainment. So knowing all of that alongside with other information like this, so what you can see here is again the interest point of our audience. So obviously they want a lot of images, or they respond to a lot of images, links, videos, and lastly audio and text. So with that information, I think that would arm you with again the knowledge to build on your content. Next is to listen. So I think Anushka mentioned this earlier, and Epi, what is the value? What value do you provide? What is the value of our content to your followers or your audience? And what types of content do they want and need from our organization? So it's not so much we want to say all the time, but it's listening. It's actually listening to our audiences and what they want to see from us. And in terms of providing value, there's a formula for that. So the 80-20 content, the 80-20 formula is always a good one to follow. So 80% should be informational content that should educate, entertain, and inform. And 20% should be promotional. So these are the direct content that maybe it's promoting a donation campaign or promoting, let's say, workshops or whatnot. And then, of course, create. And in creating, there are maybe 6 things that I want to share with you. So number 1 is be creative, of course. Be relevant, useful, use high impact visuals, engaging posts, and user-generated content are a must, and humanize your content. I have some examples for you. So in terms of being creative, you can actually repurpose your content. As I've mentioned earlier, we did a lot of streamings for free and then some paid streamings. Some of the productions that we've actually streamed ran a decade ago, and their content remains to be relevant today. One of which, and the most successful, is the one on our YouTube channel, and you can actually watch it later or when you have time later on. And it's called Rated PG, on positive discipline and corporal punishment, on how you can use creative ways to discipline children without corporal punishments, and that has reached about 300 plus views as of the moment.
Sangkapan ng legado na pang mabuting tao.
So again, as you can see here, there's already a good number of views and actually 2.8 million impressions. So impressions are not so useful because sometimes people have just glanced at it, but at least the views give you an idea of how many people have actually watched it. We were also, in our research, we also found out that a lot of young people from public high schools and some private high schools have used this content as part of their classroom activity. So teachers have been using this as a tool for their classrooms. Outside of this content, of course, we have other content on our YouTube, specifically the Storytelling Sundays, some of content coming from our other series, again, on various topics on youth empowerment, education, children's rights, and so on and so forth. One of the more successful campaigns, unfortunately, this is in Filipino, so I won't share this video with you, but we did a whole campaign on heroism, and we called it Hero Vision. And this is one of the highest performing posts, so it reached a total of 58,000 audiences online. And this video was very popular because of its use of music from TikTok, on-trend editing, a lot of sound effects and visuals. So again, heroism might not be the sexiest topic to tackle online, but because of creative visuals and creative editing and storytelling, we can capture our audiences. Another one from the same campaign is what we call Tatlong Darna. This is another video that we did. So it's a story of triplets rather, who was fighting for one single shot to become a superhero. Darna is their favorite character. She's a Filipino superhero. And they soon realized that each of them can be Darna, and each of them can be heroes in their own light, and they don't have to be superheroes necessarily, but they can be everyday heroes by helping ordinary Filipinos in their daily lives. So again, this has reached a good number of people online because maybe of the popularity of the character Darna, as well as the comedy in which this narrative was created. I have one example for you, and this has some subtitles for you to enjoy. And this is just a minute. This is again part of the Hero Vision campaign, and it's called Hira.
Kuyawa ning kuya da. May pas manong taxi driver. Kanusa pa ka kumaingani no? Kanang mahimong hero ba? Kapuya bita to sila mo no? Mag-ilis sa before mag-away.
Nangalan ng buwan! Ako! Terror Moon!
Pwede mo na siya patin sa pangailis? Ayaw lang. May pag mag-vigilante na lang ko. Di man ko kaya ba magamit ang pusil di ano? Luka man na niyo. May pag-barbecue stick na lang. May pag mag-ninja na lang ko. Kagibot siya na jutsu! Ay, mag-training pa maday ko. Hala, 50 anyos na kumamaayuan ni.
Sweet, may malis! Ha? Sweet kayo mo, lingat mo niya, may malis!
So that's Hira. An interesting fact about Hira is that we actually borrowed it from one of our partners. So it's not a content that we produced ourselves. So that's actually one of the other things that you can do. Not everything needs to be produced, like videos like this that I'm sharing with you. Content sharing can be something that you can do as well. This is a video on a story.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're running at the end of the webinar time that we have. So if you could move on to your concluding thoughts.
All right, and then sorry, I'll skip the videos. So of course, it's always important to humanize your content and show your impact. Sorry, hope the other ones will show. Okay, so it's important to humanize your content and share your impact. Sorry, my photos are not showing right now. But Again, if you look at our page, you will see a lot of pictures of people, either artists or people who are involved in the organization, and basically what they do and how it matters. User generated content is as important as well. And of course, it's always important to engage, have meaningful conversations with your audience. And here I have some snapshots from, it's a little blurry, sorry, but it triggered a lot of conversations online. So again, it's not always about creating content, but sometimes it's about posting triggering questions such that you can create a conversation with your audience. And of course, lastly, you need to assess. You need to find out if what you're doing is working. And there are tools online, insights, analytics can help you do that. In the end, keep in mind, social media is not going to be effective if your content that you're sharing is not connected to your cause, your organization, and your mission. In the end, being authentic is always important. I'll share this material to Anushka so that you could better appreciate it maybe in your own time. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, for your presentation. So normally we are already at the end of the webinar, but if some of you still have the time to stay, I think we have the time for at least one question. And I saw that Che put a question in the chat. Her question is directed at Epitas, and it goes along a bit with what Laura was saying about sharing content that is also informational. So she's asking if you also include information on your social media content, such as how many children are deprived from education or don't have access to education or materials, if you share that along with the powerful photos and materials that you use.
Yeah, I mean, we have made some research on the number of children that are deprived from education, but I think with sharing them on our social media, we have not made it yet, because yeah, I think it should be also something that would make people or our audience sensitive about and wanting to do something about it. Yeah, yeah, I think that's something we have not done yet. Thank you for the question.
Thank you very much for your answer. So since we're already on the time, I think we are going to conclude the very first webinar here. So I'd like to thank all the attendees that are still here in the call. And KIYO and me, we would also like your feedback. So after this call, I would also like to send out a survey, like a Google Forms that you can also fill in so we can get your feedback. And this is also linked to the fact that we would like to host more KIYO webinars in the future between KIYO partners on various different topics that we feel and you feel would be useful to this mutual capacity development between KIYO's organizations and partners. I will also be sharing the recording of this webinar that we will upload to the YouTube page from KIYO, so I'll also share that in my follow-up email. And I'd like to again thank the guest speakers for their presentations today. It was very insightful. And I hope that you all also have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, everybody. Nice meeting all of you.